People living in the society and people unawarely know what is right and what is not right. We have the control and intelligence to judge virtue and evil. However, not everyone is born with that ability, and not everyone follows it. That's why we learn about ethics as we grow up. Ethics is part of knowledge, and it is one way to understand and respect others. Without studying ethics, you will end up becoming narcissistic, and you can be narcissistic with a shallow level of ethics and stubbornness, which makes you living in your own delusion. There are consequences for every action that you make, and ethical questions follow. That's why rules exist and punishments exist. However, not every mistake faces punishment. For example, as an adult, you make your own decision, and you promised yourself to go to the gym the next day, but after work, you feel exhausted, so you choose to stay home, watch television shows or movies, and have a popcorn on the sofa. Is there an ethical issue? In a strict perspective, there is an ethical issue because you didn't keep the promise between yourself, and you chose to repeat the unhealthy habits that you wanted to cut off. I will be honest, that's what I used to do, and the consequence of it. I lost my muscle, and I gained weight, which means I need new pairs of pants that cost money, and the problem goes on. The example that I gave above shows we are aware of what we value more. However, this example does not have a morality issue, just a very minor ethical issue that we are not aware of in daily life, because this example does not include others. You cannot isolate yourself completely from society. Communicating with people is inevitable as a human being, and your actions and words that you choose will always come with ethical problems. If you learn manners, you are aware that controlling your curiosity, controlling your greed and desire is the basic ethics. And as we age, we do question why and what we are ethically capable with. That's how we learn ethics in daily life. However, as you grow up and make decisions that come with dilemmas, you are being more responsible. Life is like gambling at a blackjack table. Some people get blackjack, some people lose, and sometimes you get blamed for either you win or lose. But realistically, blackjack is just a gamble, and gamble is simply another word of uncertainty. You see the jealousy, anger, disappointment, joy, excitement, and sorrow in the scenery of the blackjack table. We are simply players at a small table in a casino. If you are responsible, it is just a fun game. If you are irresponsible, it becomes a miserable life. This comparison itself comes with ethical questions. This above example brings us a lot of ethical questions. First, is the gambling ethical? I mentioned that as we age, we do question why and what we are ethically capable with. It can be ethical only if you know what you are capable of. If money makes you emotional, and if you end up losing more than you have, then it is not ethical and not responsible. This is an aspect of personal ethics, but from a social ethical perspective, gambling does not follow social ethics. That's why that example emphasized the ethical perspective of gambling. Second, the example mentioned that you will get blamed either if you win or lose. It shows ethics sometimes judged by the conclusion. It shows some aspects of real life if it comes from an ethical perspective. Let's add a little bit of a scenario. You and the people on the table have different thoughts. You want to stand, but the majority of people are telling you to hit. If you choose to stand and the dealer wins, then the table will blame you for the loss. But if the dealer loses, the players win, then you become a hero for that moment. Can you ask yourself, what will be the ethical issues in this case? How and why? You can write about it freely. The ethics are from the habits of yours, caused from you, that can affect others. Ethics follows society and political perspective. What you can do in society and what you cannot do in the society became the rule in society, and it became ethics. And the ethics that we have are different compared to the past, because we developed our society with the ethics that we can embrace and agree with. Of course, the logic of thinking must be part of the ethics, because you have to think about the possibility of outcomes from each behavior and situations. Let's have a question. What is ethics in your opinion? People develop the society based on ethics, and the society that we live in has a structural ethical logic system. But we can ask ourselves again, is the system perfect? What is the purpose of ethics? Why do ethics need to be focused? I will discuss this more in the next chapter. The question for the ethics and answers for the ethics comes with contradiction, and by solving the contradiction you will see you will cause another contradiction. Thinking ahead is not always the solution to improve the society right next day, because the ethics are created by society and conclude politically. It is impossible to make everyone satisfied. Therefore, people compromise and tolerate the situation they are in. Ethics can't change others' minds and others' wills. Ethics is not a tool to make people obey the system. Guilt and punishment is the system that makes people follow the rules. We have to admit, everyone is not equal, and ethics are made to reduce the imbalance between others. This statement itself is an ethical contradiction, because people tend to be better than others. People compete unawarely, and it is humane nature. Ethics from emotion is important because people have emotions. Solving a problem from a different ethical perspective will always bring another contradiction. However, there won't be any solution without sacrifice. In the box of life, you have to know ethics so you don't harm others and harmonize in society. Otherwise, you will face the consequence of making unethical decisions. Ethics is the standard of perspective and standard of your moral status. Before you think about the value of the outcome, think about the consequences and the ethical questions that you have to question yourself.